Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna.
And you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast where we do exactly what the title says. On today's episode, we're judging the pilot of a show neither one of us have ever seen. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our pod.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Well, we have had quite a weekend. It's been pretty crazy.
It's been pretty nuts.
There was a last-minute wedding to attend. We both have been crazy busy with work.
We were dog sitting.
We were dog sitting for our god dog, Max. Max, if you're listening, we love you so much.
We love you. And a shout out to Wes and BJ. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Our life is in pieces. It's not because our life's great. Our life is together.
It is.
Anyway, so today we are judging the pilot of a show that neither one of us have ever seen, even though we've seen the trailer for it probably 100 times. So today we are judging the pilot of Life in Pieces. We have, never watched this show, don't really know anything about it other than a few of the cast members. So Anna, as always, she's going to give us some episode and series information. So Anna, let us have it.
All right. So I'm going to put the pieces together.
Wow.
Ba-dum-bum.
You did it.
All right. So the pilot premiered on September 21st, 2015 on CBS. It ran from 2015 to 2019 for 4 seasons with a total of 79 episodes. The show was created by Justin Adler, and he also wrote the pilot, and it was directed by Jason Weiner. Adler had written shows like Less Than Perfect and Better Off Ted. Weiner had started out as an actor, but he found a career behind the camera as well, and he went on to write, produce, and direct for several shows and movies, including directing the pilot for a very popular show, you might have heard of it, called Modern Family.
Oh, yeah.
Despite having solid ratings, Life in Pieces for the first 2 seasons, it did really well. And however, eventually ratings began to decline. So unfortunately, it was canceled after the 4th season. The show's biggest criticism, ironically, was that it was too similar to Modern Family, which for some reason, that show just took off.
You also have to think it's 2015. This was like a overabundance of like the family, of like that style of like family comedy. That kind of became the new normal.
Yeah, so the series follows the Short family as they navigate through life living in Los Angeles or LA County. Each episode is split into 4 storylines that somehow tend to cross over one another and then tie together at the end of the episode. All episodes are currently available on Hulu.
All right,
that's it. So,
all right. So,
questions.
I think we first need to get into why we picked this for our first time watch before we get into our questions and the pilot summary. All right. So, anyone that knows us personally or has had any type of conversation with us knows that we love reality TV.
Oh, yeah.
We are big reality TV junkies. Since the foundation of our relationship was founded on talking about TV shows, the very first TV show that we ever really talked about was The Challenge on MTV.
Right.
Which I declare I declare The Challenge as my all-time favorite show of all time. So when I moved in with Anna, we watched a lot of different reality TV shows that I watched some that you never heard of. I watched stuff that we heard of it, but maybe never watched it. Anna was it still is, but was a big fan of Big Brother. I watched the show back when it first started, back when, there was a lot of reality TV shows popping up in the 2000s. I gave every one a try just about. but I never really got into it. But once people from Big Brother started coming on the challenge, all of a sudden Jeff gets interested.
Yeah, and I had watched Big Brother since it started.
Since that horrible season one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was definitely during my I always talk about my lonely time in Seattle where TV was a lot of what I did when I lived in Seattle. So I had followed Big Brother and I kind of went off on it. I mean, I kind of stopped watching a couple of seasons here and there, but then we got together and we kind of started watching more stuff, and I decided to rewatch Big Brother again because of the crossover and the spatterings of people starting to come on the challenge.
And also it definitely became like one of our COVID shows.
That, and we also went back and started watching old seasons of Big Brother.
So when we started going back and watching older seasons, there was one particular season that became my favorite. I'm not going to speak for Anna, but became my favorite season that I've watched of Big Brother so far. And I've watched a lot of seasons of Big Brother so far. Big Brother season 17. It came out the summer of 2015, so it came out the same year that Life in Pieces did. And what Big Brother tends to do a lot towards the end of their season, or at some point during the season, they use like a challenge to kind of promote a new show.
Yeah, they
this most recent season they did it for the summer camp reality show with Josh Duhamel. I don't remember what it was called, Buddy Games, I think that's what it was called. But yeah, it was like they promoted something like that. So on Big Brother 17, they were promoting Life in Pieces, which they were at Final 5 at this point. So you were getting into fall. So
it was coming up.
So the whole challenge was based on there's this whole puzzle with magnets, and if you've never seen the episode, it's really intricate. It's hard to explain. Anna might be better at explaining.
They were trying to put together a puzzle that was magnetized, and they had to run back and press a button. If they didn't get back in time, it would drop all the pieces.
Yes.
And they kept having to go back and forth.
And one of the players, our favorite player of that season, Johnny Mac, kind of one of the more like infamous like hacks that anyone ever did in a Big Brother comp, where he was organizing all of the puzzle pieces in the trough below. And then he didn't have to, since he wasn't using the magnet, he was just able to run on the grass. Because if you fell off the balance beam, the thing would demagnetize and the puzzle pieces would fall off. But since he wasn't putting his puzzle pieces up, he was just organizing them. And he was just running back and forth on the grass and just hitting his button. And and he ended up winning. And he was also on the block, so he won the veto and took himself off the block. It was just... It may not sound as cool when we're talking about it like this, but if you go and watch it, it's pretty funny, and he's also hilarious. So I think that was also,
we've watched that season and that episode
right
at least a dozen times, if not more.
It's definitely a go-to. I even put it on the other night. Just because we watched Life in Pieces, and they show that we've watched this trailer so many times, but we've never watched the show, and it has Colin Hanks, James Brolin, Diane Wiest, Jordan Peele is in the first episode.
Oh my God, I know.
Like, I mean, this seems like, and it also came out the same year as Sisters, which James Brolin and Diane Wiest played a married couple on that too, and they kind of had that same energy. Kind of that, they're so cute. I can't believe they're not married in real life. Don't
tell Barbara Streisand that.
Well, she's not listening.
She could be. She might be. Barbara, I love you.
So yeah, that's kind of something that we thought of, because Big Brother 26 is premiering when this episode comes out. Big Brother 26 will be premiering that following Wednesday or Thursday. So you're going to be hearing this a few days before the season premieres.
Big Brother, we want to be on your show.
We really want to be on Big Brother so bad.
I've actually applied. And
as have I.
I've
recently applied.
I went to a open casting in New Orleans once. Yeah. You've done it through video and online application. Yes. So
yeah. All right, so when we talk about the episode, it'll make a little bit more sense. But the first story, so the episode is divided up into 4 stories. The first story is 2 characters out on a first date, and they have they both have kind of awkward living situations. My question for Anna is, have you ever been on a date with someone that had a unique roommate living situation? Maybe they lived with their parents and didn't tell you, and you found out in the moment. Maybe they lived with an ex. Maybe they had a weird roommate. Do you have a something that rings in your mind?
I don't. I'm really trying to think, because I think I've mentioned this before as well, when in another episode, that I didn't like have lots of boyfriends per se, and maybe like in college, I don't. Not super, but in college, I think there were a couple of awkward times when either I or a roommate would bring a date back to our room or something for like a little bit of smooching that kind of got embarrassing, or like one or the other got upset that we brought a date back to the room. So maybe that. I mean, I'm like really trying to think. Like, the only ones was before I met you. Sometimes if I would travel for work, I would try to meet people in the towns just to go have like a coffee or something. And a guy had messaged me, and so I was like, well, let's go and meet for a coffee. I was always like someplace public where people would be. And his picture on his profile, again, I mean, just kind of a normal picture. But when he showed up, he looked literally nothing like his picture. I mean, not even close.
Like it was a different person, or was like a different time?
Yes, I don't know. I just remember, because my other thing was I, anytime I would meet someone, either, my friend Alicia or Summer would come with me. I mean, they oftentimes came with me to first meetings of people just for us to be safe. And so, like, I would always message them and be like, I'm going to go meet this person at a Starbucks or at this restaurant or something. And I would always send them a pic of the person. And so when I met this guy, I swear I was messaging them like right in front of him, telling them like, oh my God, this guy looks nothing like it.
Oh my God.
And I mean, I'm like trying to get a picture of him with my camera that wasn't totally obvious so that they could see. And I just remember it really reminded me of that famous Seinfeld episode where he's dating the girl, and in one shot she's really pretty, and then like it gets dark and cloudy and she looks like an old like saggy looking lady or something. And
I remember that episode.
Yeah, and so it totally reminded me of that. I think it was him in the picture. I think he maybe sent me like a professional.
Some people photograph weird. I've done plenty of online dating where I've met people that when I see them, I'm like, you look nothing like your photos. But then when I meet them and then I go back and look at their photos, I'm like, oh, they're really good at like this angle. They're really good at like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like some people just look completely different in their photos. And it's just so weird because I think you and I are both we've looked the same since we're like 5 years old.
Oh, I've looked the same since birth. So yeah, that might be one of my kind of weird first. Yeah. I don't even know if I'd call it a date. It was like a coffee meet. Like.
All right. So in the second story, a baby is being delivered. A baby is delivered. It's all about new parents. Anna, did you have a question about that?
Yeah. Have you ever had major surgery? I don't know if you. No. Okay. I didn't think you had. So I have had a couple actually since we have been together.
Yes.
I tore my meniscus while I was preparing to walk a half marathon. So that shows you just how bad of even just a walker that I am. I was actually jogging, so I was trying to jog and walk, but I tore my meniscus, and so I had meniscus surgery in the summer of 2017. Meniscus. But then also I have been with friends, and including my mother as well as another friend, I won't name her, and then myself have had colonoscopies. I am of the age. My mom's was pretty funny. She just was so loopy with the anesthesia or the propofol or whatever it is that they give you.
Well, I remember your colonoscopy, and my boo was, you woke up from your slumber. You were, I believe when they were wheeling you into the room, because I was waiting for you in the little area. They hadn't wheeled you in yet, and they were like, you can come back and wait. And I was like, okay. This is pre-COVID, so there was many. Yeah. They did not. They're like, sure, come back here. I don't care.
Because this was 2019, I think, because that's when I turned 50.
And my boo was, you were asking, I could hear you asking about me on the way to you were like, is he in there? Is he in there? And they're like, I don't know. Because I think they were just like, they were just transporting you. Like, I don't know. Shut up. But it was very sweet. And then, you were just in there just telling me how much you love me and
thank you for being there.
No, you were pretty much just telling me that, like, you're cute. I love you so much. It was very sweet. I mean, it's just like what either one of us would do. If
and
we
then
were
I was pretty ravenous because I
you didn't eat for however long.
Well, they tell you, so anyone out there, I know that there are people that have different mantras with the colonoscopy prep.
Uh-huh.
I had heard, and I knew from my mother had two. So anyone out there listening, I've had a couple of friends actually write blogs about their procedures, which I think actually were really helpful. Maybe I'll post a link to one of my high school friends wrote one.
That's a good idea.
But the best tip that I had was, and just learned from my mom, was a lot of people say they stopped really eating the day before. I think I had stopped really eating about 2.5 days before, because I was like, I don't want anything, I know that day before prep was bad from my mother's experience. She kind of passed out.
Poor Tootie.
Yeah, but I don't know if you totally remember, but by the last probably cup and a half I had to do of the prep, I was really crying. Like it was just, I don't know if painful is the right word, but it was making me gag so bad. Like I wanted to cry.
I just
was
felt
like,
so bad for you.
I think I've got it all out of me. I mean, I remember asking you, because I'm such a good patient.
Right.
Like
we're both big rule followers.
And I just was like, how much trouble do you think I will be in if I don't drink this last 8 ounces of this?
Very reluctantly being like, boo, you have to drink all of it. Because we're both, when it comes to like this
prep
we're big time rule followers.
So I just remember that I was just like, he was like, I just remember one of the things you were like, do you want me to add more water? And I was like, no, that's going to make more of it.
I know.
So
I know.
Gross
I remember that. That's so funny.
So if there is anyone listening that has anything to do with the colonoscopy prep, you would probably be a bajillionaire if you could find a colonoscopy prep that would taste good.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But that being said, the only other piece of advice I have would be to have start a liquid diet 2.5, 3 days before, so that you're not miserable really doing. I mean, there's nothing to do about the actual liquid stuff, but making it easier on yourself that day before. It was really helpful to me because I felt like I was fine. It was just drinking that stuff that made me sick.
All right, welcome back to our colonoscopy prep podcast. We're here to get your butthole ready.
Hey, I'm trying to be helpful. The world will appreciate it.
You're so helpful, Boo. I appreciate that. I'm just saying.
But those I think are my only wisdom teeth I've had out.
Yeah,
my dad took care of me.
Same.
He didn't know what he was doing. That was actually summer of '89. He was sick. My mom had a procedure, so it was not a good summer. And then we ended it with my 4 wisdom teeth out. And he was like, I don't know what to do with you. So he just plopped me on a couch and turned on the TV for me.
So speaking of babies being born, was your dad, I know your dad traveled a lot. Was your dad there when you were born? The question that I wasn't going to cut you off. I was going to let you talk. But when I said you had a question, that actually wasn't the question that I was talking about. It was actually the question that you asked me earlier about did my dad pass out when I was born? Because that's a really stereotypical thing.
Well, yes, because we were going to talk about that in the pilot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
We can do that.
Okay.
It's not a big deal. I was just,
Yeah, well, okay, well, go ahead and talk about it, because one of the little scenarios in the pilot, she's giving birth.
Yeah.
And so I had asked you, did you have a funny birth story?
Yeah, so when I was being born, I was a C-section baby, and so when I was a scheduled delivery, and when my dad was in the operating room when they were doing the C-section, and so basically the doctor is just cutting my mom open, digging through there to claw me out, and he just basically the guy, the doctor that delivered me, he actually just passed away. I just found out today. My mom messaged me, said that he passed away either today or yesterday, maybe very recently. So that's also why the story kind of popped in our heads a little bit. But yeah, so the doctor, I guess he had a great sense of humor, or he had known my dad for a long time because I was born in my dad's hometown. He was just like, "Hey, Lloyd," and my dad looked over and just shows him my mom's organs. My dad just hits the floor, just immediately passes out. So yeah, so there's the whole joke with John Travolta passing out both times, and look who's talking. I always think of that. Also, my dad used to look like John Travolta a little bit. So.
Totally. Shout out to Lloyd. Hi, Lloyd. We love you.
Papa.
My baby story is not well. It's actually a little dramatic. So my dad was out at sea when I was born, and so my mom went into labor, and I think she had arranged for a neighbor to take her to the hospital, and my mom's mom was also in town to help my mom, I guess, with post delivery. So she stayed with my brother and my sister. So she went into labor at around 5:00 in the morning, walked like to the neighbor's house across the street to go let her know that she was in labor and would she take her to the hospital across the river uptown.
Different time.
And so they got in the car and went to the hospital, and I was born approximately an hour after my mom went into labor.
Nice.
I was premature. I was around 4 pounds. So they had to put me in an incubator for about 3 or 4 days, and my mom left me at the hospital. So I always used to joke that that's why I have abandonment issues. I'm always worried people are going to leave me behind. But I've asked, I think my brother and my sister, they were kind of bummed when my mom came home and I wasn't with her. Like they were like,
"Didn't you have a baby?"
Didn't you have a baby? But
there was a baby inside of you when you left here.
Yeah, so you were kind of bigger, and now you're smaller. So I came home a few days later, and I think I actually still have my telegram from my dad. I might go try to find it and dig it out. That my mom sent to my dad across the sea, announcing my delivery to him. So, so that is my baby story.
Oh, okay.
That was cute.
Well, you're still cute.
Aw.
All right. So story number 3, there's kind of a storyline that one of the kids is, he's a junior and he's doing his college tours, and his parents are dropping him off to do a college tour. And I didn't go to college. Well, I did, but I didn't finish it. I didn't finish.
Not like
I didn't have. I went to
university.
community college.
Yeah.
You went to a regular university, a regular old public university. Do you have any memorable like college tour stories, or maybe you were in a sorority where there may be any stories you remember, like being a pledge, being shown the ropes, or showing someone the ropes? Do you have anything?
Yes. So
I feel like you should. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few.
You're
I have
super
actually
social
have
in
I have
the
a-
college.
I have a couple.
Yeah.
So my dream college was actually to go to Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi, big SEC school. But my parents could not really afford to send me out of state.
Yeah.
It was just very expensive at the time. I didn't really know a lot about scholarships or how to get financial aid. And I wasn't going to ask my parents to, pay a lot of money for me to go to college. But I took 2 trips to Ole Miss and saw like all their sorority houses there that were beautiful. And you just had these dreams of like, being in a sorority. My brother went to LSU, and they also have a very beautiful sorority row. And I took summer classes at LSU when between my freshman and sophomore year of high school, and I would ride my bike down Lakeshore Drive looking at the sorority houses.
Aww.
But when I went to Ole Miss, one of the most beautiful houses that I thought at the time when I was around 16 was the Alpha Omicron Pi house. It was actually the only house that I took a picture of. I still have that picture.
Cute.
From when I was a junior in college. And I just was like, gosh, this is just such a beautiful house. It's at the top of the hill. And I just thought it was beautiful. Again, sorority houses now, even more so, are just even bigger, better, more beautiful, more features, more patios and fountains and fireplaces and all kinds of stuff. So when I went to my university, it was very different. The sororities were in a dorm. It was shaped like the letter H. It was 2 stories. There were 2 sororities on one side, first floor, second floor, and 2 sororities on the other side, first floor, second floor. And so I was a member of Alpha Omicron Pi. I am still a member of Alpha Omicron Pi. So I always thought it was kind of serendipitous that I became an AO Pi because I had thought it was really one of the prettiest houses at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
It's actually being renovated this coming year or 2. But several years ago, one of my chapter sorority sisters, her daughter was a member at Ole Miss, and they invited me to come up to help with recruitment, to help with, serving food and decorating and just kind of generally helping as an alum. And I had kind of told several of the girls about my story, and that I think it was always meant to be that I was an AOPI because I thought that their house was the most beautiful house. And they kind of joked and said, well, you need to have your bid day at AOPI, and we're going to, let you run down Rebel Drive and run home to AOPI on bid day.
Aww.
So I went up the hill, like where the girls come from the Grove when they get their bid. And I kind of jokingly ran like a block, and I ran home to AOPI on bid day at Ole Miss. So I love my chapter. I love Ole Miss. I actually get to travel a lot to a lot of different universities. So I've seen lots of, not just obviously AOPI houses, but just other sorority houses. And I think they're beautiful. The living in a sorority dorm definitely built a community. I have so many friends that were not AOPI. My closest friend was in another sorority. Shout out to Tiffany. But I love that. I loved, going to college and having a beautiful campus to, explore. We were on a bayou. You could kayak, you could hang out. We had like a little beach on the bayou, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Aww. All right, so there in the final story, there is a very uniquely themed birthday party.
Yes.
If in case you don't know, Anna and I are big time hosts. We love throwing parties. We love themes.
Oh, I'm a big theme person.
We're both big theme people. We like going all out for stuff. Anna, do you have a favorite theme that we or you have ever done for a party? I think I know the answer, but
well, I think this year was it.
Yeah.
So I love rainbows.
Yes.
I've loved rainbows probably since I was really young.
Well, that was the print back in the 70s.
Yeah. Well, it's a very weird story. So one of my friends that lived around the corner, her mom was making her clean out her bedroom. It was really actually very disgusting. I remember it. And she was cleaning her closet out, and she was definitely the kid that to clean her room, she would just pile everything in the closet.
Yes.
And it just all of a sudden, I don't know how her closet doors ever stayed on because there was so much stuff. So I was actually trying to help her, and I think I was 9 or 10. I was pretty young. It was either 4th grade or 5th grade, and we were cleaning her room. And she had this little teeny tiny little mirror. I mean, it's probably it was maybe 2 inches by 2 inches. It was a little
where Polly Pocket would hang out.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
And it had a little rainbow with some clouds on it. And I asked her, I was like, this is so pretty. I was like, can I have it? I was like, I love rainbows. And so she was like, sure, one, it'll get something out of this dang closet. So I took it home and I had it on my dresser. I don't think I have it anymore, but I've loved rainbows. I used to do science reports on rainbows. I love, the acronym Roy G. Biv. I used to love markers, and I would always put them in rainbow order. But so this year I wanted my dream to come true. I actually at one point asked my mom if I could paint, we had a true wooden walls in our bedroom. You could see the slats of the actual inserted woods. I don't know the right terms. Lloyd could probably tell me. The tongue and groove.
There it is.
Yeah. Slats of wood in our bedroom. I actually asked my mom if we could paint them in rainbow color order, and she said no, but she did get me a rainbow comforter to make up for it because she knew I loved rainbows and she thought that was sweet, but she was not painting the room in rainbow colors. So anyway, I asked actually our friend Summer, shout out to Summer. We are always sending each other funny reels of food, of parties, of themes. And Summer sent this Instagram reel of people having a color party. And it was color of the rainbows. And people would come dressed in their color.
Not just of the rainbow, just colors in general, color parties.
Brown, black, pink, gray.
So you come in dressed in that color, and then all of the food that you bring is associated with your assigned color.
Yes.
And you immediately were like, I want to do this.
Yes.
And when I saw it, I was like, oh, Anna wants to do this. I was like, we're doing this.
It was immediate. It was I think I had an event Facebook page created.
Oh, yeah.
like
and
that
I
night.
and I remember being like, I don't care. I got dibs on yellow. I was
Yeah,
like, I got dibs on yellow. I got yellow.
What was just amazing about it, because I've asked my friends to do a lot of crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I cursed. But I mean, just I'll before I finish the rainbow party, like I've asked my friends to do Box of Lies from the Jimmy Fallon
That
show.
was fun.
We
That
did
was the first time I hung out with your New Orleans friends.
Yes, and then we also did egg Russian roulette.
That was so much fun.
When we did hard boiled or not boiled eggs. And I mean, my friends all did it.
Yep.
I mean, we were all like smacking eggs on our heads.
I ate all the hard boiled eggs because I was a little tipsy.
Yeah. And so and then we've done other parties here. We did like game night, like for my big 5-0. I didn't really want a party. I think it was during. No, it wasn't during the pandemic, but I didn't want a big extravaganza in the sense of like how people have blowouts. I had, two of my best friends here and Jeff, you cooked us spaghetti dinner, but I think I finally wanted kind of a post-pandemic, because during the pandemic, I had actually decided, because I didn't do a big 50th, that I was going to do something big, and it got canceled.
Yep.
And then we did Top Golf last year, so I treated...
That was in 2022.
Oh, 2 years ago. So I did do that. But then this year, I saw that Instagram reel that Summer sent, and I was like, we're doing it. It's my dream. Oh, my God. It was like everything that I've ever wanted was going to happen.
And then we played the guessing game, too.
And then we did like another guessing game that we got from Smosh, and that we did our favorite TV shows that I had to try to guess our friends and what 3 TV shows that they were doing.
They all submitted their 3 favorite TV shows.
And you made a PowerPoint.
Oh, so much fun.
And so that was, they always go for it. And that's what I really do love about my friends, that I can have a wackadoodle idea and they will all be like, of course we'll do it.
Right.
And it's nothing like super extravagant. I mean, most everyone is going to bring food or booze to the party anyway.
It was really cool, kind of people's creativity.
Oh my gosh,
with
creative.
Because I feel like mine was very much like, I just realized that so many of the things that I love are yellow. So I was just like, oh, it's really easy for me. But people got like really creative with some of the stuff that they brought and some of the stuff that they made.
Oh yeah,
big time.
Heather went all out with red.
Oh yeah,
like Lisa had black, and so she brought like
Oreos.
Stella.
I didn't even think about that because it's a blue box, and so I'm just like,
but the Oreos,
because the Oreos are black. I'm like, duh,
Yeah, I mean, people brought like blue chips, blueberry like mixer. Someone for green, Lori brought salad. Tara brought like the peach rings or the orange slices.
My elote dip was pretty freaking good, I must say.
Oh yeah, everyone did everything amazing. Like I did rainbow. I had like the multicolored goldfish. I did the lollipops that are rainbow colored,
we had
and stickers.
A song playlist that were all had colors in the titles. Like when we pick a theme, we do it.
I had gifts for everyone that were bars of soap in rainbow.
Those were so cute.
Bath bombs, the lollipops. I mean, I love a theme. I love just going with it. But what I also really love is just that all my friends, no matter what it is, that they indulge me with it and also go along.
Well, because they have fun too.
Yeah.
I mean, big time.
I think they really actually enjoyed the movie thing, because I don't know if they really got what you were asking them. And then when we were playing it, they were like, oh, wow, this is really fun.
Yeah, so now I have all these ideas and different variations we can do for that guessing game already stewing in my brain.
All right. So what is your favorite party?
I mean, other than, I have to say the rainbow party was a huge success. We even had a little arch that we were taking pictures in front of. Like we went,
Oh yeah, right before, like about a month and a half before my party, I won a balloon bouquet.
Yep.
Display, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have it done in rainbow colors, and it was so cute. So I mean, it was
awesome.
It was perfect.
But it's really hard to not talk about Shocktober without talking. It seems we can't talk about our favorite themed parties and not talk about Shocktober. So Shocktober,
which is your birth month.
So yeah, here's something that you may not know about me. I like horror movies. I love horror movies almost as much as I love TV shows, and my birthday is in October, which is probably why I love Halloween and spooky stuff so much. So since my birthday's in October, Shocktober is just kind of it's like a birthday party for me slash like just Halloween party. It's really just a get together. It used to be watching movies. That's what it used to be. It kind of evolved into just a birthday party, Halloween party, but there's always some type of theme to it. Like one year we did like apocalyptic horror. One time we did
Louisiana.
We did like Louisiana based like horror, because there was a whole bunch of horror movies filmed in Louisiana. We did one where it was I just forgot it.
I thought you wasn't one like woods.
I was just about to say don't go in the woods. I was about to say I had yeah, that was the one I was thinking of, but it left my brain. But yeah, and the first official Shocktober was really the first party. 2016, October 2016. We had known each other at this point for about 4 months, and this was the first time that we really hosted a party together, and that was when we really kind of discovered that like we both really love decorating. We both really love having a theme. We both love hosting. We spent a majority of the afternoon setting up for the party at my old apartment, and we were taking Jello shots. And I
had actually made Jello shots in the layers of candy corn.
Yes,
yeah, I go crazy.
Yeah. So if you listen to our Friends episode, I talked about how when I lived in my old apartment, there was just like a group of us that all kind of lived in different apartments next to each other, and we were our own little community. So I had, at that point in time, this was post-flood, so Rick and his family were living in his apartment. So Rick's brother Ian, who I've known Rick and his brothers since forever, Ian was downstairs helping us out decorating. We were all hanging out. We all took Jello shots, and we all took a little day nap.
Oh my gosh, we were like a little tipsy by like 3 o'clock.
So yeah, it's absolutely impossible to talk about theme parties between you and me and not talk about Shocktober, because that really is the when we don't do Shocktober. The one year that we didn't do Shocktober, literally everyone was like, "You're not doing it," and I was just like, "We're too busy." Like we had a lot going on at that point. I think we were traveling too, so I was just like, "We just don't have time for it." I think I caved, and we ended up doing like a game night of some kind.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's talk about this pilot. This one's going to be pretty easy because it's divided into 4 stories.
They're each pretty quick.
22 minutes, 4 stories, and then kind of like a tie-together scene at the end. So you're really talking like 4 or 5 minutes per a commercial. I mean, like you have a scene in the commercial break, and then it cuts to the next story. All right, so the first story is they're all titled, this is First Date. Matt and Colleen are on their first date. It seems to be going pretty well. They arrive at Colleen's apartment, pretty much implying that like they're ready to hook up. They walk in, and Colleen's ex-fiance Chad and his dog Princess, which by the way Chad is played by Jordan Peele. I mean, that was, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, I'm in. I was like,
what?
I don't know how much of the show he's actually on, because I think this is before Get Out. This is before like he was making movies, so like he was just a comedic actor at this point in time. He wasn't a horror maestro yet. But yeah, so that whole scene, that whole exchange was so funny. Chad's, pretty passive aggressive. He's, obviously that's his ex-fiance. He's still referring to her as his fiance, not
right.
an ex. And so Matt's a little bit like, what's this dude's problem? So Colleen's like, sorry, like we bought this place together, and when we broke up, he couldn't really afford to get his own place. So we're kind of dealing with what we're dealing with. And he's just like, sure, whatever. We can go back to my place. Let's go to my place. And so they go to Matt's house. As soon as they enter, you immediately see that Matt lives with his parents, Joan and John, who are played by James Brolin and Diane Wiest. It very much seems that the mom, Joan, is very intrusive and is like kind of just not leaving them alone. I guess maybe She's excited that her son's having a successful date. They're trying to leave the house because they're like, this is weird. She offers them ice cream. They accept. So when they're walking out of the house, it's kind of cute because they're eating ice cream.
Yeah, they are. That's cute.
And as they're walking out, they cut to the next scene, and they're hooking up in one of their cars. I don't know whose car it was, but they're hooking up in one of their cars. So they finally found a place to hook up. We cut to the next story, the delivery. We have Jen. She delivers her first daughter, Lark. She poops on the delivery table. I don't understand why they don't tell you that.
Well, it's kind of implied.
I know. It's just always funny how they always do that on shows, and it's just like you know by now. The nurse comes in on Jen's last day in the hospital to go over some things to her and her husband, Greg, played by Colin Hanks. The nurse gives Jen some advice for pain relief. So it's actually pretty genius. You fill a latex glove up with water, you freeze it, and then you insert the finger in there in your vagina to relieve swelling and relieve pain. It makes total sense. And the biggest advice that the nurse gave Jen is, do not look at your vagina. Post delivering a baby, do not look at your vagina until you come in for your 6-week checkup. So they cut to a really funny scene in the car where they're like where Colin Hanks, where Greg and Jen are both just so happy to be parents. They're both like crying in the car. It was a really funny scene where Jen was like, I've never held a baby until today, which was a really funny scene. But they're both crying, and it's just, why did they give us this baby? Like, just having a really funny realization that like they're parents and, they're on their own now. They cut to the next scene. I believe Greg is like building a swing or a crib or something like that. He hears Jen screaming from the other room. Greg walks in, and Jen's holding a mirror, like a little handheld mirror, so she looked at her vagina. So now she's all freaking out, and then she starts having like a lot of pain. They remember the glove trick, so they go to the kitchen. She insists that Greg do it because she's like, I don't want to look at my vagina. So they get into this really weird position where Greg is like kind of behind her, not looking, putting the glove, all up in there. And then of course, like when it starts to feel better, you're not going to move. So they're just like kind of stuck in this position. If you haven't seen this episode, I highly recommend it. That scene, that story alone was my favorite. That was so funny.
It was cute.
So yeah, they have to remain in the same position, and then they cut to the next story. The college tour is the next one. Heather and Tim are bringing their eldest son Tyler on his first college tour. So the kid that plays Tyler, his name is, I believe it's Niall Cunningham, and he plays Miranda's son on And Just Like That.
Yes.
Correct? What's the...
Brady?
Yeah. Which was really funny because he's basically been playing a high school student for like 6 years.
I know.
Looks exactly the same. So she's dropping him off. They're dropping him off for a college tour. It's like one of those overnight where they're like experiencing, the college
Living
for a
in
night.
the dorm for the
Living
night.
in the dorm. And so the Heather and Tim also brought their 2 younger daughters with them. They're staying in a hotel nearby. So Heather's kind of, she's realizing that like her kids are getting older. And now that the middle daughter told the youngest daughter that Santa is not real. Spoiler alert, anybody who still believes in Santa, I'm sorry. And so then the youngest daughter kind of starts asking the parents, like, so the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, like kind of finding out, like, those things aren't real. They have a really funny scene where she like kind of walks away. The daughter walks away. She's like, I need to be alone, but we have some serious trust to rebuild. It was like a really cute scene. But yeah, so Heather is kind of realizing that now that her youngest is like kind of the veil's kind of off of her eyes. She's no longer like believing in little kid stuff.
No more the baby.
Heather's kind of now like, I want another baby, which Tim seems into it, but then he kind of says the wrong thing. He's like, are we sure? What does he say? Like,
about her age. It's something like...
Yeah, he like questioning her age, like kind of saying like, does that still work? Does it still work? And like, yeah, like just kind of a really weird way to ask, like, are we too old to be parents? Which she takes as, I'm too old to be a parent, which obviously that's how you would take it. So, it kind of kills the mood. So they're not going to try and make another baby. They go and pick up Tyler the next day. She asks how it went. Tyler responds with vomiting in her purse. But Heather is delighted because she gave him a sandwich earlier in the episode, and she sees that he has thrown up the sandwich. So he ate the sandwich that she gave him. So still my baby, still needs me, that whole idea. So maybe the whole baby thing's kind of leaving her brain. Now we cut to the final story. It's called The Funeral. John, who you remember from the first story, John, who was Matt's parent, Matt's dad, he's celebrating his 70th birthday with his wife, Joan. John decides he's going to have a funeral-themed birthday. So apparently he went to one of his friends' funerals and he heard like all of the eulogies and all of the nice stories and funny things that they had to say. And John realizes, he's like, hey, why do I have to miss all of this? Why can't I just have like a funeral when I'm alive so I can hear all of these nice things? So of course,
which kind of makes sense.
I mean, the kids are all like weirded out by it, but that's actually a really kind of, I hate to sound weird, it's actually kind of a fun idea. Like that's kind of I guess maybe to make death, not as scary, maybe a little bit more celebrating life rather than mourning your loss. So the three kids are kind of weirded out. So the three kids, so from the previous stories, we have Matt, Greg, and Heather. They are all siblings, and John and Joan are their parents. So we have our tie together. Obviously, all of these people are related. Those are the siblings. They're all kind of weirded out by it. Joan seems to be having a tough time, even though this isn't actually his funeral, and that's kind of what they keep saying. But it's pretty obvious by the time Joan gives her eulogy, she, very understandably is like, I don't want to do this because I know that one day this is going to be real. And I'm actually going to be giving your eulogy at your actual funeral.
And mind you, he's in a casket. Like
at this point, he's sitting in a chair.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't get into the casket until the end of the episode. Yeah,
right.
Which is really
it's
funny.
All
but
like they have it really set up though.
Right.
Like
It's basically yeah. So she kind of has a moment where she's like, this isn't something that's fun for me. You're not really thinking about how I feel about this. So she kind of storms off. After the funeral, like the family, after the funeral, the family like gets together. John explains to them like, like life is made up of moments, and he's not going to be, he doesn't have many moments left because he's 70 now, and he just wants to experience every moment he can, and he wants to experience new moments with his family. So, you understand like his, you hear Joan's kind of mentality towards it, and then you kind of hear John's, and you kind of agree with both. I mean, at least I did. I agreed with both of them. I kind of see where both of them were coming from.
Oh, for sure.
So Joan forgives him, but then says she hopes she dies first so she doesn't have to experience this again, which was very funny. And then she said, what did she say? She says 60 is the new 70, and she was like, no, I think you mean 70 is the new 60, which was really cute. It almost seemed like a line mess up, like that wasn't meant to happen. So a little in the next scene, John has actually snuck into the casket.
Yes.
And he's just like, oh, it's really comfortable in here. And it's kind of going to imply that like the parents are going to hook up in a casket, but then like Jones like starts to get into the casket and then accidentally slams it shut. And apparently the funeral place didn't have the tools to open a casket. I think it was just, the joke was the family then had to wheel the casket out of the funeral home and go next door to Jiffy Lube where they had the tools to open the casket.
Yeah, I mean, I think it maybe latched from inside or something and he couldn't see it.
Right.
So
that is the episode. Very, very cute. So what did we think? What did you think of the pilot? What did you think of...
I liked it. I mean, I thought it was very funny. For me, it was like, I was worried that because there were going to be 4 parts, and that's kind of how each episode is. And we haven't watched any other ones since, but I think we would.
Yeah.
But I thought they were easy to follow. And again, because they were pretty tight, they all meshed, and you kind of realized how they did all connect. And I mean, I kind of saw like those things in our life.
Yeah.
I mean, as we were asking our questions, I mean, even the very last one, we have not talked about funerals or anything, but one of my, I don't know if I would call it a running joke with my mother. before she passed away, I mean, she would always like talk about preparing for her funeral.
Right.
And like, I remember one of several years before she actually passed away, I remember she asked me this crazy question. She was like, I would go to visit her to check on her and bring her food and whatnot. And she would be like, would you be surprised if you came to visit me one day and you found me dead in the bedroom? I mean, like, she was totally serious.
This sounds like an Anna question. So.
Yeah, and so I was just like...
Sounds like something you would ask me.
Yeah, I was just like, yes, Mom, I think I would be very surprised. And she goes, well, now you won't be. Like, she sort of felt like what was just funny was like this scenario was he was trying to prepare them. He was also trying to hear the good things.
Right.
But like she said, she was like, I don't want to go through this again. But my mom was trying to make light of it.
Right.
So I can appreciate it because, funerals are not easy. So she, of course, was a nut job. Love my mother to death. But she would say wackadoodle things like that all the time. So, when we were watching that scene, I think I even said that to you. I was like, this is like something my mom would have done.
It does sound like it. Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I'm with you.
I am surprised we did not watch it.
Never even heard of it. Like never even heard of it until we watched that Big Brother season. Like I'd never even. Sometimes like shows just kind of slide under the radar in your world, and I wasn't really watching a lot of TV. I didn't have cable. I didn't have like any. Well, maybe I did at that point. I don't remember, but like. Yeah, it was. I really liked it though. I would keep watching it. I do see where people say like the similarity between Modern Family. I do kind of get that kind of blended kind of
three-part
each
episode
kind of there's like a B, a C storyline kind of thing. But yeah, I would keep watching it just because I mean like once again great cast. I mean like love Colin Hanks, love James Brolin, love Diane Wiest, love the rest of the cast. Of course, I love Jordan Peele.
Yeah. My gosh. I just love all those people.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I would keep watching. All right. I think we're going to wrap this one up. This was a good one. We ended up telling a lot of stories.
Yeah. Maybe too many. I don't know.
Maybe too many. Who knows? All right. So thanks for tuning in. As always, if you haven't already, you can follow us, follow or subscribe to us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at We Judge Pilot Pod. Also, we have a Facebook page. I completely forgot to mention that. We have a Facebook page now. And yeah, so you can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch. And as always, you can leave emojis in the comment. My emoji queen of my world.
I got some good ones for this one.
There's a lot on this one you could choose from.
The puzzle piece, just generally. The poop emoji. The glove and the ice emoji. The casket. The car. The Santa Claus. The student emoji.
Nice.
The vomit emoji.
Always.
And the sandwich emoji.
Nice.
All right, so I think we're going to head out for now, but we will talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.